Welcome to the introductory tutorial on Thrifty broadcasts. I am Malik Mnela, a journalist, marketer, digital media producer, and consultant. I run a small consultancy firm called iHub Online based in Lilongwe, Malawi. I invite you to check out our services on www.ihubonline.tv. YouTube channel is to share hacks, tricks, and skills for low-cost broadcasting for African journalists, online or offline. There are so many African small broadcasting houses, in particular community broadcasters, that fail to work properly due to lack of required equipment or expertise. Having been privileged to work in environments with and without resources, I've always been obsessed with finding ways to bridge the gaps. In the past 2 years, for instance, when I started my small company, iHub Online, I've been exploring on ways to find technologies that reduce capital expenditure in the broadcasting sector. Through my experience and experiments, I've come up with hacks that will make broadcasting better and convenient, I believe. Imagine deploying a reporter to a remote location with a mobile phone and being able to produce high quality, high fidelity kind of broadcasts. Imagine transmitting audiovisual content from point B without an OB van, but still being able to produce high quality content. How about sending visuals and audio to remote talent for smooth bidirectional broadcast? A reporter covering a high sensitive topic needs a teleprompter to report strictly to the script. All those that are in the broadcast industry will corroborate with me. All those in the broadcast industry will agree with me. Well, this is a channel you get to know how to achieve these at low cost or free, if at all you already have the basic accessories that are required. It must be borne in mind that by free, we mean just that. Nothing to pay. However, low cost is subjective. For institutions, we might be talking about $1,000 worth of investing. This is nothing compared to millions that we would have spent in procurement of accessories that will fit into an OB van. Just the OB van, we are already talking millions, mostly for African broadcasters. We are starting on the assumption that most targeted community media do have the basic resources we will be showcasing. If not, but interested, we will be delighted to supply these and at competitive rates. If not, we will be able to recommend our colleagues near your geographical location. Having done the pleasantries and with the pleasantries and the channel's philosophy explained and out of the way, let me now take you through what we shall be tackling in the next few episodes. Number one, this is a must-watch for every African journalist who is interested in low-cost broadcast. We are calling this episode Foundation for Low-Cost Broadcasting, setting up and configuring free and paid-for solutions for networking and production. This particular episode will be fundamental and very, very critical for all other subsequent episodes, because in this episode, we're going to be talking about networking. Do not worry, we are not going to be talking about the language of IP specialists, IT specialists when it comes to IP, configuration, port forwarding. While we encourage journalists to know a little bit about these aspects, do not worry, because we are going to provide solutions and hacks on how to bypass the complexities and demystifying the difficulties of networking and port forwarding using free, layman-friendly solutions for global overlay network that will be able to connect journalists at point A with journalists at point B at no cost. There are solutions that work effectively and we've used them. We are going to show how we have used these and how you can as well use them for your own convenience. This is the first episode that we're going to share, and every other episode will be anchored on this particular episode. So I encourage you to like and click on the bell so that you are alerted each time we post any video on this channel. And this channel is for any African journalist who is interested in low-cost solutions. Now, the second episode will be about mobile journalism for low-cost broadcasting. I've already hinted that we use mobile phones quite a lot. But then, there are better ways of using mobile phones in a much professional context. So, we are going to be using mobile phones, iOS. This is an iPhone 10, quite old, but it can produce high quality, high fidelity video. Not only recorded video, but this can transmit from an out of town location. So long as you have internet connection, you can transmit signal to studio. But we also have solutions similarly for Android phones that will enable mobile journalism to assist in terms of live broadcasts. And not only are we going to transmit signal from a remote location to the studio, but we are also going to show you hacks and tricks and skills on how you can link your studio to an out of town or remote location where your journalist should be able to hear what the studio talent is saying without much latency. There is only a delay of about 3 seconds according to the test that we've done. And usually when you're watching BBC, CNN, you'll find out that a reporter is holding an earpiece. Well, you will be doing the same trick at no cost or minimal cost with the hacks and skills that we'll be sharing on this platform. And the third episode will be about mobile journalism for low-cost broadcasting. Now, this is a bit advanced, but then it is cheap. In this context, we are going to use a Roland Aerocaster switcher. This is a switcher, as you can see here. It is quite complex in how it works, quite convenient. This will cost no less than $260 US dollars. But then it will provide 4 video channels. You can use, we have been using phones like this, and we just grab another phone from another one and another phone from another one. So you will see that this one is still low cost because we are going to use phones that we already use for other purposes. We just download the apps onto the phones and connect this piece of gadget to an iPad like this one, and from there we are able to connect XLR microphones that will be sending high quality audio feed to the switcher, and from there we can mix the mic 1, mic 2, but then we can also get another feed of audio into this through line A, but the main control will be controlled here. If we want to output HDMI from this gadget, that is very possible, and we've been able to do it. This gadget is good because we can be able to send signal into our studio vMix or OBS transmission and output it to the main broadcast. We are going to show you how to do this with Roland Aerocaster production. Or another method of doing things on the chip is, rather before I continue, I have to mention that this one does not require power really. You can use an ordinary power bank to power this gadget, so you can take it to a remote location and be able to transmit. So it's third episode, very interesting. Now we are going to episode 4, which will be split into 2 parts. We're getting interesting stuff. This is a bit advanced in terms of the kind of resources that we'll be deploying, but for a community television station, we believe that these are resources that you should already have. If you don't have them, you should be considering having these based on what we are going to share. So this is called the streaming bridge. The streaming bridge is a product which is produced by Black Magic. What is it? Okay, this is our own. This is the streaming bridge. Now, this piece of technology is quite exciting because with this piece of technology, we are able to do a number of things. As you can see, I'm looking around. Okay, so let us assume you are at an outside broadcast. This is a video switcher. You are able to input 4 video inputs wherever you are. You can actually use this technology with a power bank. We have been able to do that. You send signal directly by hitting on air here, having configured this in your studio. This one will transmit through the internet. It will transmit a signal that will be received by only plugging the internet to this gadget, and it will output SDI feed. It will output actually 2 SDI feeds simultaneously, but also HDMI feed to your main switcher in your studio. We are going to tell you how this can be done, can enable you to do a broadcast with only your camera inputs. You only need camera inputs and source of power on that end. On your studio end, you only need a streaming bridge, and a streaming bridge will require a little bit of networking, port forwarding, and that kind of stuff. That is the stuff that we'll be discussing in the first part of the setting up a simple but effective mobile OB workflow with basic and low-cost equipment, which is the Atem Mini Pro and the streaming bridge, the gadgets that I've just shown you. Now, we're going to split this deliberately into 2 parts. The second part of achieving the same will, however, focus on achieving bidirectional broadcasting with talkback using the Atem Mini as well as the streaming bridge. The main limitation of this gadget, in as much as it is good, is that it does not offer the opportunity to send back signal to the studio, so that there should be bidirectional communication. This one only sends, rather the Atem Mini will only send signal through the internet to this gadget. But this gadget does not send any signal to that gadget. Therefore, we have created a hack that will see us send signal back to the remote talent. We are not just saying this. These are the techniques that we are using on our own workflow. As you can see, it's all labeled receive, remote. So we use this for our clients or whenever we need to do a live broadcast. Now, the 6th episode is something that is also interesting. We have realized that when we deploy our talent to work on a client's work in a remote location, there's always been a challenge whereby you have to switch and the camera is moving, is shaky, or the cameraman is not prepared. We were wondering, how could we possibly solve this problem? We realized that we can actually send a multi-view with program audio and option for IFB to the remote camera person. So when you talk of multi-view is the input of any professional switcher that you are using in the studio. You see, in the studio, you have a lot of feeds coming in. But then if you are doing a multi-input production, there will be so many cameras on standby. Now, the camera person will need to know that their camera is on preview, their camera is on standby, so that they position it well, or they will need to know that they are not yet on preview, so that they may, try to relocate or reposition their camera, so that they are able to produce content in a professional manner. Now, to achieve this on the chip, we are using resources that we already had. We have not bought anything. This particular method will only use the USB mic, for instance. The cameras that we already deployed is all that we'll need. Now, things are getting advanced and a little bit complex, but don't worry, because if you don't have these resources, our intention is that should you find a gap or a need, then you may procure these with insights of how you are going to work better with these particular resources. Now, network is always a challenge. Internet signal is always a challenge. Now, in Malawi, we have got two main suppliers of internet. We are talking of TNM as well as Airtel. Well, previously, we used to only rely on either Airtel or TNM. But in this case, we are using both signals to have a high fidelity, highly reliable network internet connectivity for our remote feed. Now, using this gadget, we are able to transmit from any location to the studio, but it has limitation. The limitation is that although the field workers are transmitting a signal that is highly reliable, they are blind and they are deaf as to what is happening in the main studio. So we have also devised a way of getting return feed and IFB to the camera person. The camera person will get instructions live and direct from the studio, but not only that, the camera talent will receive the multi-view from the studio, but also the person that is reporting, the reporter, the journalist, will also receive the program feed without, of course, audio to avoid loop back. That's mix minus. Those are the technical issues that we are going to talk to our journalists. These are skills that have been left to, to the technicians to understand. But we have realized that once journalists get to understand these things, they are going to demand better service and they are going to really improve their journalism. The video number 8, it also be split, video number 8 and video number 9, they are also split into two. Part 1, we are now talking about main production. This is a workstation to workstation kind of broadcast, where one computer in the remote location is going to connect to a remote, a remote computer is going to connect to a studio computer with high quality and low latency broadcast streaming. And this first episode will channel on OBS to OBS. How a computer with OBS can, with only difference of 3 seconds, connect to another computer. You just need a computer and a computer. You just need a computer in the remote location and a computer in the studio. That's all you need. The rest is just, the know-how on how you can configure these two to speak to each other. In this first episode, we're going to deal with OBS and OBS. In the second episode, which will be video number 9, we will be talking about peer-to-peer transmission. But in this case, we are going to use OBS, which is an open source kind of software, to vMix, which is a paid for high quality producing software. The principles are the same, but the configuration and the port forwarding are a bit different. But then we are going to take you through stage by stage until you get to know this. Episode number 10, which is part 3 of the same series, is vMix to vMix. So you might have a vMix workstation in your studio and a vMix workstation out of your studio. How does your vMix speak to your vMix? This is the episode not to miss. Number 11, which will be the last in the first series, is sending teleprompter feed from newsroom to field reporter in real time. You will agree with me if you have ever worked or if you're working as a journalist, especially as an editor. your interest will be to get things right and correct the first time. But sometimes our reporters are busy and overwhelmed. That's when the need of a teleprompter in the field is quite critical. In our case, we've been using a teleprompter with an iPad Pro attached to the camera and sending the feed from the newsroom to the on-location talent. As the person will be facing the camera, they will be reading into the teleprompter. Actually, that's the technique we are using right now. For my notes, I have a teleprompter in front of me, and this teleprompter we acquired at no cost at all. We are using readily available resources. So, when we are talking about readily available resources, that's just what we mean. These are the tutorials coming your way on this channel. So make sure you subscribe so that you're not left out. If you need bespoke assistance or any other equipment mentioned in any of the tutorials, we will be delighted to supply or make referrals to our partner suppliers across Africa. What we need is to make sure that broadcasters in Africa have solutions that are user-friendly, easy to understand, and using readily available resources. But if we must upgrade, we must upgrade knowing that whatever equipment that we are getting is equipment that will assist in making broadcasting easy and convenient. Remember to subscribe and watch out for the next video that comes your way a week after this one. Bye-bye.